Hello and welcome to my series of conversations with men and women whose ideas, vision and philosophy define our contemporary world. My guest today is a writer and an activist, two roles which influence and comment on each other. In a career spanning nearly 5 decades, she has written close to 100 novels, 20 collections of short stories, been feted and applauded with the Sahitya Akademi Award, the Gyanpith Award, the Magsaysay Award, and a whole host of awards and recognitions from around the world. I'm delighted to welcome Mahasweta Devi. We record this conversation almost on the eve of the award of the Indira Gandhi National Award for Integration. What does this award mean to you at this time, national integration?
National integration is a big word. When I was asked by someone if my name is recommended for a national award, would I accept it or not? I said I am an Indian, and if it's a national award, I would be proud to accept it. I belong to India.
Much of your work has been for the indigenous people who are 1/6 of the population of India. We often forget that there is an India or people of India who go back beyond Hindu civilization. People who are ostracized, who are exploited, and you have written so passionately on their behalf. You have set up NGOs on their behalf. You've been working on their behalf. Isn't it ironic in a sense that we're really talking about national integration at a time when you have spent so much of your life to integrate these very people? You have described them as the voiceless, oppressed people looking on as India marches to the 21st century.
You see, they were here. We came later. If we think of India as a nation, they came earlier. They were here, we came later. And then, if we think of India as a nation, they are the people who are truly civilized. In their society, there is no gender difference. A girl and a boy both enjoy same love, same status. No dowry system. If you think of this making difference between a boy and a girl or dowry system, what havoc it has caused in India and is still causing. Widow remarriage, for widow remarriage, to introduce widow remarriage, Bengal Sirsha Chandra Vidyasagar, other persons, Maharashtra's Jyotiba Phule, people anywhere, people with educated liberal minds, they had to write so much, carry on so much, but in their society widow remarriage is absolutely almost mandatory. Divorce, which was definitely in India, in Muslim society, Christian society there was, but it was not mandatory. Widow remarriage in tribal society is almost, because there is no use staying alone. If she is young, even if not so young, they remarry. So remarriage is nothing, marrying again, having children, to carry on, everyday life. All these things seem to me to be survivals of a very ancient civilization.
Isn't it ironic that people who we in the cities and the educated and the upper castes and what have you, in a contemporary sense, modern sense, consider to be primitive, actually demonstrate value systems that we have begun to associate with, in inverted commas, development?
No, that is most tragic. Such people, and people ask me all the time, you are doing such great work, trying to bring them to the mainstream. I said, no, I don't. because mainstream has nothing to offer. They are much more civilized. I have been so many times to tribal meetings and gatherings, but 20,000, 25,000 people sit and listen to talk alone, but see their body language, the way they sit, the way they listen. So full of so much respect, body is still, all eagerness, even children are so civilized that it must be, they are still carrying on the, somewhere they represent a very ancient civilization. It's in their blood, it's in their society, in everything.
So what do you understand as, as writer and as a one-time professor of English literature, when you use the word civilized?
I think in my book, Chettimunda and his arrow, I have repeatedly written about that old man, Chettimunda. Whenever he is asked anything, he just says, "Ka kiya jaye, Maharaj." You see, you are Chettimunda. I am someone who has always hated you. I have beaten you, I have bruised you, maybe I have physically hurt you. But when I am in some accident or distress, you come and rescue me. For that you do not expect any gratitude. You do your work, then wait, others come and take charge of the person wronged. They say, "Chotti, why did you have to help him?" He just says, "Ka kiya jaye, Maharaj," what to do? He acts like a very sacha human being, because he cannot do otherwise. Not to think all tribals are saints, they are not so. But generally, if we think of it, there are many tribes, not rich at all, but so clean. There are Santal and Munda villages where you can eat off the floor.
What kind of model do you see for, do you see sort of the empowerment of the tribals so that they emerge as a constituency of their own and participate in civil society? Do you see that, in what ways?
Rajiv, these are so bad, so terrible all over the world. You see, it's not question of India's tribals alone or America's American Indians alone. Think of Africa, what has happened to Africa. So all over we need, like old times. Do we need another Gandhi? Yes, and also no. We have to start from the scratch, or whatever we have. We have to learn to go back to the old things we were taught as children, basic things. Share everything with the poor, go to the people who do not have things like that. Want more, less greed, more work. And let's think of work alone, because India, I am sorry to say this, but today's India, is it an independent nation? Where lies independence? Who is independent? Who is free? Almost all India's interests, now minerals, plants, forest, everything is being sold grain by grain, slice by slice to other money spinners.
You're watching a conversation with Mahasweta Devi. We'll be right back after a short break. Don't go away.
क्या हम सो रहे थे जब वो रो रहे थे? हमने अपने हाथों से अपनों को सताया, मासूमों को रुलाया। पर तोड़ने वालों से है ज्यादा जोड़ने वालों की तादाद। चल पड़ा है मन का कारवां सरहदों को पार कर, पैगाम मोहब्बत का लिए हर हदों को पार कर। यहाँ है भाई भाई में विश्वास और हमें है अपनी जिम्मेदारी का एहसास।
एहसास के प्रायोजक हैं। आई कार्ड दिखाओ, 99 रुपए में मोबाइल हो जाओ। Selvan from BSNL.
Welcome back to a continuing conversation with the writer and activist Mahasweta Devi. You were talking about work, work and work. There is so much work that you do. Sort of, 120 odd books in 50 years. That's sort of more than two books a year. And you're on call all the time for people in distress in Calcutta where you live. You have set up NGOs, you go and do grassroots work with the tribals. What is it that drives you? Is it sort of, in a Gandhian sense, a kind of a god, a spirituality?
No, I am
is
not
it anger? Is it, what is it?
Just that's the way, only that way I can be myself. It comes from within me. I am not being, I respect Gandhi a lot. I respect so many persons. Wherever I find work, I see work, I respect them. I still remember the old times when I was 10, say 14, 15. In those days, all over India during summer time, people would give, wait under a tree or something to give water to the thirsties. All over India there were. So this is something people did voluntarily because this is the time when people need water there if they are thirsty, and they would do it. This Jaladan, is there any punya from it? They did not, I do not know. Think of our old landlords, or zamindars, or village chiefs. They would dig wells, dig tanks, give water to the well. Listen to our children's rhymes. Oh, we'll give you everything, now we are being married. We'll give you a road with, jackfruit trees and mango trees on both the sides, so that the trees will be cool with their shade, and you can get some fruits also. There was a time when people shared between themselves, but even say long before independence, when we became independent, was the value system all right, where we taught the right things? These days one is very proud, his or her 22-year-old son is earning so much, this, that. It's all right, they are qualified, they are earning it, that's all right. But increasingly society is becoming lopsided.
One of the sort of recent books of yours that I read was After Kurukshetra,
Yes,
which that looks at the issues of women and, in a sense, contrasts and surprises.
No. Not women alone. There also, when those things happened, all the time when epics are written, this is written, that is written, role of the common men, common people, that is totally neglected. If a battle as mighty as Kurukshetra took place, in those days very few of the warriors would have chariots or superior weapons. This weapon is this bana is this is that. But it was mainly leg work, infantry people. They had to, in order to make one Arjuna shoot this arrow or that arrow, or one Rama or one Arjuna or anyone, one Karna, one Duryodhana. So many infantry persons would have to give their lives because they didn't have superior weapons. They had to save those chariots. They had to create an atmosphere where great battles could be fought, people could win. This has always been there.
But
so after Kurukshetra is just that. So I have a mind to enter into more and more, to read of one Gandharya, one Kunti, one Draupadi. It hasn't been anything.
Tell me, you as a writer, and that's sort of what happened to you in a sense first, before the activism came. For most people, writing is a process of ordering and understanding the universe and understanding their environment and
never had any time to because I had to earn I had to earn in order to live. Earning was very important.
So did you write to earn? Would that be a fair description?
Yes. That too, writing and earning came together, and the person that I am, what can I do?
But to what extent was, has one influenced the other, one led to the other? I'm talking about writing, and you weren't just writing about your subjects, you were feeling for them, you were then going in there and doing something about their predicaments, which is unusual in most cases for writers.
Perhaps I become too involved. But we are taught to be involved in our time. And why should we? You see, if you think of me, isolate me as a person, I am one who went to school, Tagore school, when Tagore was quite active and alive, and we had free access to him. I was in Shantiniketan from 36 to 38. And those are formative years, very important. Then I have seen Gandhiji, I have seen Subhash Bosu, but more than that I have seen, in my family, outside the periphery of my personal family, people to whom these things, in those days I am confident, I can tell you, if you make this type of search, you will find corroboration of what I am saying now. You see, when with the it was 10 in the morning, in so many small towns, big places, small towns here, there, poor students would come. It was pre-arranged. They would go to some, rich person's house, would have food there and go to school. See, if one was well off, they undertook this social duty. They also thought like that. It is our duty to feed these children so that they can go to school and they can have their morning and evening meal here, so that they can continue their study. This you will find in, I think, all over India, in so many cities, so many places. So it was in the society, it was in the norm of things. That's why.
How can this sort of nostalgia for an India that was, in a sense,
that India is still here. My India very much exists all around me.
So when you get something like the Indira Gandhi Award for National Integration, do you despair that there is so much fragmentation in India still?
That is also there. Definitely that I am so concerned about India. You might say it, my India, as the way Jim Corbett said. I am an admirer of Jim Corbett. Yes, I think of my India, but it's all right, it all comes. National integration, if the award is named national integration, I cannot do anything. I know personally I have not done much. You see, I am one of the writers who sit in the city and throughout the year get letters. With such people, I have to be constantly on the.
You're watching a conversation with Mahasweta Devi, writer and activist and winner of the Indira Gandhi Award for National Integration. We'll be right back after a short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to a continuing conversation with, in a sense, the sort of doyen of activist writing in India. Let's just talk a little bit about, your process of writing. What happens? What is the impulse to write? I mean, you just told us that you sit in the cities and these letters come to you. I don't think that's a fair description of yourself. You're actually, going out there in those communities, living with them, engaging with them, and urging them to assert their, their rights, their needs, and their responsibilities. So, so the impulse for a particular story comes from an event, comes from anguish, comes from wanting to initiate change, a sense of catharsis.
No, not like that. Though many of my stories, which when I reread, I find this has shadow of that person, this person, that event, that event. It may well happen so, But letters I am not receiving all the time from the tribals alone, from old retired teachers, young brides also. That day I thought I would purchase this saree, that saree. Then I remember somewhere you have written, I do plenty, newspaper. I write columns for Bengali newspapers. That way you can reach many more people. Not to waste so much. So many things happen. Life is very worth living. Life is like a festival. Every day you come across new experiences. And this award is also, in a way, very necessary. I am not talking of the money value alone.
Because you donated that to the NGO you set up. In any case, the Magsaysay Award and the awards you've got so
I'm
far.
not because of that. I go to the Indian people. To them, these names carry a lot of weight. It means very much. When they say they respect Indira Gandhi, they do not, they do not mean that to which political party she belonged. That way they do not judge. Our big people, they get a lot of respect and reverence from common people, from villages. To them, these names mean a lot.
What is your impression and recollection of Indira Gandhi?
Indira Gandhi, I did not see very much. Her father I saw, because I went to study BA at Shantiniketan again after Tegu's death. Jawaharlal ji used to go to Shantiniketan. Indira Gandhi also was there, but by that time I had left Shantiniketan.
But you still have a sense of her. She was, Prime Minister of India for close to 2 decades. So what is your impression? You're being honoured in a sense in her memory. What is your impression of her? What is your understanding of her?
She was very good. She was really good. In her time, so many good acts like Bonded Labour Abolition Act came, this act, that act, and she was in active politics. So people who judge anyone, if we judge someone for positive achievement alone, how many persons would survive?
How
Not
would
many.
you like to be judged or thought about?
I want people to read my books, that's all. Then forget me. Let them write their own stories, things. What is there? Life has been a very rewarding experience to live this long and to be with so many people. And it's great to be all around India as much as I could. Many places I had to cover on feet.
It's interesting to say that you'd like people to read your books, and of course you are in a sense more often celebrated and known as a writer, but it is really in a sense your hands-on work for the causes that your books embody and represent, that your passion, your personality, your caring, your compassion emerges more than mere ideas, but as facets of your personality that drive and move you.
That's also there, Rajiv. I want you to understand and tell the people, I am highlighted very much, I have done this, I have done that. Not me alone. If I didn't have support of so many persons with me, and the people for whom I have been fighting, say the denotified tribals, if they themselves didn't come forward, if they did not do what they did and still do, who am I? I couldn't have made any impact. You see, we isolate someone and praise one sky high, उससे कुछ काम नहीं होता. It has always been all the persons together.
So as you were describing yourself and saying that I'm growing old and I'm slowing down. Do you sort of, as you slow down, what are the emerging? What are the priorities? Naturally, you need to focus.
Writing, writing comes foremost in my heart. Always I think of writing. Even when Naveen knows it, if some word strikes me, some event, something, someone's name, anything, I note it down. I keep it noting, because out of that comes, there is somewhere, I do not know whether Ajir has been translated or not. What's the meaning of the word Ajir? Ajir means someone who sells himself as a slave to someone, like debt bondage, for very little. Ajir is someone, I sell myself and I will do work for your house or your field or anything, your dairy, anywhere, for very little money. Maybe in exchange of a handful of rice and this and that. Ajir means who sells himself or his family for very little. This struck me very hard. And then, because I was thinking of this, in old Bengali families there is this great tradition of, here is a family, old Bengali, you are like, say, I do not know you personally, I say your family, they came from that village. So that family's history, they would make someone write and they would print it. Those are very valuable social documents. I came across in that type of history book, their family history. Some they have printed some of this Ajiri Patta.
So to what degree is this process of writing a process of discovery? I mean, even as I call it a discovery, you've just given this example of Ajir, how this took you into this little journey. But yet going back to what you write about, it's so deeply, firmly grounded in reality that the impression that the reader gets is it is really your response to that reality, to that predicament, to that anguish.
But one word, it has to be like that, because one wouldn't sell oneself for so little, such a small amount. If there had not been abominable, there might be famine or something, that man would not be in acute distress. What leads to that distress? There must be exploitation, poverty, this, that, so many caste hatred it may be. So many things happened in those days. So whatever I search, I end with somewhere there is people suffering from chronic starvation, either famine condition or starvation or exploitation, this and that. Each word, but some words, I mean, take me there. What can I do?
So you've talked so much about suffering. Do you fear suffering? The Buddha talked about the inevitable suffering of
fear.
Fear. Do you experience fear at all?
Not at all.
Death?
Death? No. Death is something I do not want to die. Actually, I want to live for at least 20 years more, and actively.
And what is the agenda for that 20 years?
Right, and be just the person I am that way. Carry on work, see. It's very rewarding,
Mahasweta Devi, thank you very much. This is a great blessing and an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.